On this occasion of celebration, we thank you for your dedication and hope to bring you some justification for forking over the money for a reservation. The things you are going to see here tonight, we promise to be historically almost right. Now cast your eyes on the stage over here as we take you through history year after year. On the 21st of January in 1816, a new church was started where no church had been. There were 27 members, all community leaders, organized by the Reverend William McPeters. It was a dream come true and a hope fulfilling as services began in the state capitol building. 4 elders were named to uphold church law: Thomas Emmons, William Peace, John Smith, and William Shaw. Now is the time for the entire congregation to pause for Al Edwards' prayer of invocation.
O God, the Rock of Ages, who evermore has been our source of strength in times of crisis, as we gather here this night to celebrate, we are conscious of crisis. And in the midst, our Father, of our protection, our security, our comfort, and our abundance of good things for which we thank thee, we pray also this night for all the armed men and women of our forces, for all our Father who support them in countless ways. Grant them strength, we pray, through difficult times. Be with their families here at home in the midst of their anxiety and distress. May thy comfort be sufficient for all our Father, who know even this soon the shadow of their evil. Yet, our Father, as we meet here conscious of crisis, help us to remember that as we consider the history of this church, we are reminded too of sacrifice, of countless men and women who through the years have forgotten themselves in service to thy kingdom through First Presbyterian of Rome, and who by such sacrifice have made the church what she is today. Thou wast their strength, their stay, their captain in the well-fought fight. So grant, our Father, that our evening here shall be blessed by the remembrance that we too will recollect those who in different ways have sacrificed. Gracious God, when we leave here this night, help us to remember that others must clean up the mess we leave. May we be thankful for them. Amen.
You can say you were there for the premier performance anywhere. It's not just a song, but a little bit more. Al Hobson undertook the unenviable chore, composing a special anniversary token, a new anthem, glorious things of thee are spoken. June of '31, the Capitol did burn. Our offer of a meeting place, the state just could not spurn. Our session house served the Supreme Court as home during the rebuilding of the Capitol and Dome. The Peters had left, and for 7 long years, there was no regular minister to calm people's fears. Dr. Drury Lacey came, the church really took hold. Memberships increased almost threefold. To welcome you here is a Finley named Ed. The 175th Anniversary Committee, he's the head.
On behalf of the ministers and the section and the 175th Anniversary Committee of the First Presbyterian Church, it is my singular pleasure to welcome you here tonight to this anniversary banquet. This banquet marks the first formal event of this very special week in the life of the First Presbyterian Church. On Monday, January 21, this church will celebrate its 175th anniversary. We have set aside this week, and indeed the entire year of 1991, to reflect upon our heritage, on the accomplishments and acts of service that have been rendered over 175 years. We welcome here tonight representatives of the General Assembly of the Church, of the Synod of the Mid-Atlantic, of the Evo Presbytery, Union Theological Seminary, of Peace College, and of the daughter churches that have been established through the efforts of this church. A significant theme that will run through the 175th anniversary celebration will be the acknowledgement of the ties between our church and the city of Raleigh and of the state of North Carolina. We have chosen for our anniversary logo a symbol of this connection of here. You see the 4 columns supported by the copper arch. That copper arch, of course, represents the dome of the Capitol, situated on Capitol Square across from the entrance of the church. And on top of that golden dome is a crown that symbolizes Christ the King. You will see that on the literature, on the invitations and announcements and brochures of this celebration, and so that is symbolic of our link between the church and the state. We believe that as we reflect backward over 175 years, that there is much for which we have to be proud. We take this opportunity to reflect upon these accomplishments. I read that there is a castle in the south of France that has 2 sundials on the entrance way. Slaves written on the first dial is play Huron, meaning they're going to pass by, referring to the hours that have been marked already by the sundial. On the face of the second sundial is the Latin phrase "Intitantur," translated, they have been reckoned up, reminding those who pass by that one's deeds and one's past actions have always been accounted to God. So in reflecting upon the past, we realize that it is indeed history and that it is indeed past. So in reflecting upon that, we hope gain a clear perspective and a greater understanding of the tasks that are at hand, those which likewise lie ahead.
time for our excellent meal. We hope you all will partake with the meal.
We're just fine. Mom, I didn't punch you, just punch Mom. Oh, you did say you. I thought, wake them up.
Sorry, you don't get any respect in my house. I am totally out. The dog is a female, the daughter is a wife. I think the termite's a female.
Yeah, you wait to get it, boy.
Yeah, he'd be lying on the floor. It's an experience, I'll tell you what. You know exactly what Custer felt like.
We have a lot of people to feed, and we have a lot of things on the program tonight, and so please continue and proceed with the meal. We're going to do a few things while we continue to do that, so we can move the program along just a little bit. The first thing I want to do is to take this opportunity to introduce those who are seated at the head table. Some of our special guests here tonight, so that you'll know who they are. I see a few of them turning around and trying to figure out from the program, and I apologize for not having done that sooner. I will start at the end of the table. We have Dr. Garrett Briggs, the president of Peace College, and his wife, Sue Briggs. We have Margaret Edwards and Dr. Albert Edwards. I never thought I would be in a position of introducing Dr. Albert Edwards, the First Presbyterian Church. Do that anyway. I have no choice. We have Catherine Gwynn, Mr. Sykes Gwynn, moderator of the General Assembly. We are so fortunate to have with us tonight. We have Richard Summers, who's going to give our presentation, and his wife, Sarah Summers. This is my wife, Ginger. If I make any mistakes, it's her fault. Here tonight. We have Reverend Dr. Hartley Hall, the president of Union Theological Seminary, and his wife, Ann Hall, who's a Wally girl, and we've enjoyed talking to Dr. Hall and Ann. One of the things that we want to do while we're waiting and while you are eating is to have a few door prizes distributed. We have the members of our congregation are quite talented, and we have made some gifts for some of you to take home with you. We want you to pull out these little cards. Stuff was taken from your card as you came in, and now you have a little white card left. So pull those out, and there's a number. The number in red. Find the number in red and determine what your number is. We're not going to rehearse this, and so if it doesn't go quite right, bear with us. I'm going to ask many of these aren't torn off. The stub is not torn off. His one. Bring it up here. We'll put them in the pot. We have two pots over here. We have one pot for the congregation and another one for our guests. We want the guests, some of our guests to receive a gift. And we have 6 gifts. We had 14 gifts, but what does that make? 8 of them are on their way someplace with Ted Chapman. We couldn't make it tonight. So we'll have to give those out at another time. We'll do that.
tell you what we're going to draw for here the first time. This will be difficult for some of you to see at the back, but this is a beautiful plaque that Dr. Harold Ramsey has made. And I'm going to read you what Harold has said about this plaque, but what you see here in the middle is one of the slates from the roof of the church for the sanctuary that was replaced not too long ago. And let me, I'll hold this up and read to you what Harold has prepared and asked me to say about it. The original roof of the present sanctuary of our church, which was built in 1898, was a slate roof. This roof was replaced in 1981. For 83 years, this roof protected the church and its people. When the roof was replaced in 1981, some of the shingles were salvaged. Being symbolic of the manner in which God shelters and protects his children, some of these shingles were made into framed plaques that are being given tonight as door prizes. Inscribed on the face of each shingle are words from the 121st Psalm that describes God's care. The Lord is thy keeper, the Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, or the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. So this is a nice plaque we've drawn. And Ann Hall has drawn the number here. And the number is 010.
See through them? Just tell me to move.
The next door prize is it's a Raleigh Street Railway spike, 1886 to 1983, which was uncovered in 1976. You might have recalled that Fayetteville Street was converted from street into Fayetteville Street Mall, where when uncovered the old railway line and tracks. And this is a spike that was uncovered when the street was dug up, and this is one of the plaques. It's a nice memento. And the person who prepared this told me not to make a big fuss over who did it, but it used to be the DCE, and he retired, and he's on our committee. Number is 406. 406. Harold had the idea to make the slates from the roof into plaques. We looked around to see if we could find any of these slates, and we found some someplace in the basement of the church. And I gave Dr. Edwards credit for putting that slate roof down, but I don't know what else is down there. I haven't looked. This is another plaque. Number 233. 233.
Is that who?
Sheriff Summers is gone for another railway spike, number 419. 419. All right, now these are two of the slate plaques. This is number 286. Number 286. Hold up and get it, man. And the last, oh boy, the last one is number 285. 285. Okay, you can trade that with somebody. Okay, those are all the door prizes, so you can eat the dessert now and relax now.
I don't think Rock slowed down much. They were big chicken fingers.
Picked up their marbles and started to run. The Southern Church withdrew from the church in the north. In 1861, on July the 4th, as a matter of interest, Sherman's army was in Raleigh after he'd been to Georgia to play out his folly. And we discovered through our historical research that we offered their chaplains the use of our church. From the General Assembly, a message will be heard, brought by moderator Bryce Gwynn III.
I told my wife a couple of months ago that one of the things I couldn't get accustomed to in this job was the standing ovations. She said, I hope your term of office is over before you do get accustomed. I bring you a word of greetings and congratulations from Presbyterian Church USA as articulated through its General Assembly. First Church of Raleigh is one of the flagship congregations in our denomination, the kind of church that the rest of us look to for exemplary leadership and for guidance. Catherine and I are delighted to be with you today and tomorrow.
Greetings from Synod will be brought to us tonight. Executive Secretary John McLeod will do it just right.
I'm delighted to bring greetings as moderator of the Synod of the Mid-Atlantic, whose cross I wear, or bear, whichever is appropriate. The Synod of the Mid-Atlantic is the successor to the Synod of North Carolina. The Synod of North Carolina was founded in 1813 and lived for 175 years. A portentous statement, because at that point it ceased to be and was incorporated into the Synod of the Mid-Atlantic, including North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, District of Columbia, and parts of West Virginia. That's the synod of which we're now part, and a great synod it is. I do note, however, that the life of the Synod of North Carolina was 175 years. And unless First Church is planning to merge with someone that I don't know about, I predict that you will live longer than we, because you may go on for another 175 years, and we hope so.
Next, to bring a message in Presbytery's name, Executive Presbyter Albert Thomas came.
One of the pleasures and honors of the office that I hold is to bring greetings on occasions such as this from the Presbytery of New Hope, and specifically from the other 133 congregations, to share with you in the Presbytery itself. This particular church, truly the mother church of Presbyterianism, not only in Raleigh and Wake County, but beyond the bounds of the county, stood for a long time as a beacon and as an example and as an inspiration. And I am indeed honored to share in an occasion in which you celebrate your heritage, and at the same time hold forth vision for many years to come. Thank you.
Presbytery's moderator, Minnie Lou Creech, just couldn't turn down the chance for a speech.
Thank you. What a privilege and honor it is for me to be at this place at this time, a time of celebration. As moderator of the Presbytery of New Hope, I bring greetings and sincere congratulations to each one of you from the Presbytery. Indeed, this is a celebration of quality with continued improvement. That statement, a celebration of quality with continued improvement, caught my eye recently when I was on one of my travels, and I immediately thought of the First Presbyterian Church of Raleigh. And indeed, it applies to the 175th anniversary celebration for the church, which has been witnessing for Christ from the heart of Raleigh since 1816. Now may the God of peace equip you in everything that is good, that you may authenticate the past and the present, and as you move on into the future. Thank you.
The 70s brought music by First Choir and organ, Rock the Rafters at Salisbury and Morgan. Built as a school at a hospital for war, Peace Institute was kept and used even more as a Freedmen's Bureau till 1872, when it finally opened as a school brand new. Our association with peace has always been grand. President Garrett Briggs will now take the stand.
Thank you. Surely Eve was fashioned from the rib of Adam. Peace College was fashioned from the rib of First Church through William Peace in 1857. You know, it was in 1907 that First Presbyterian Church actually bought Peace College. And then there was a time when control had gone to the Senate of North Carolina, and they decided to close the college. When this church again sprung forth and saved us. And even tonight, I guess this is sort of like a mother is prone to do when a celebration is rightly hers, she focuses instead on one of her children. They have granted us this opportunity on the program tonight, for which we are very grateful. And in addition to that, have given us a wonderful gift that demonstrates their continuing devotion and support. Our lives together have been long. We hope that peace will always be with you. We give you our best wishes. We pray that God's blessings will be with you not only during this year of celebration, but for years to come. Thank you.
The church building itself soon became too small, so our present church was built to accommodate all. In 1898, the cornerstone was laid, and 2 years later, the mortgage was all paid. In Virginia, they moved the students and each dignitary, as Richmond became the home of Union Seminary. Here, most of our ministers furthered their careers. Our Ben Lacey was president for 29 years. Our next reader married a former Raleigh resident. Here's Hartley Hall, the seminary's president.
The lives of First Presbyterian Church in Raleigh and that of Union Seminary have been intertwined in more ways over the years than anyone can recount. This congregation has provided the school with students, with professors, and a president, and in turn the seminary has provided leadership in the form of pastors for this congregation. I would like to read a statement from the school and then present this to its comment. The trustees and faculties of Union Theological Seminary in Virginia extend to the officers and members of First Presbyterian Church in Raleigh, North Carolina, our congratulations on their rich heritage from the past, and offer our best wishes for a providential future. This on the occasion of their 175th anniversary celebration. We rejoice in God's continued blessing upon the relationship which we have been called to share. And it's done this day, in this year, for this occasion. Yes.
World War I raged in 1917, but in our church, great growth was being seen. Dr. William McClanahan White was here holding sway, spreading Presbyterianism every which way. Dedications to missions, both home and worldwide, his legacy churches, which fill us with pride. Represent daughter churches, each sent us her best. Marion Fuller will introduce each special guest.
churches under the pastorate of Dr. White. You'll notice these dates in the program here. Tonight we are delighted to have with us representatives from 9 of these churches. And as I call your names, I would appreciate if you would stand in the main stand so we can all be recognized. From Westminster, Dr. Vance Barron and his wife Doris. If you will, please hold your applause so we can all see them. Please remain standing. If you will, hold your applause so they're all recognized. I believe we have the clerk of the session now also, Alan Sullivan. From White Memorial in Johnston County, Reverend Herbert Underwood, his wife Frances Underwood. From also the clerk of the session there, Captain Smith. Sorry. From New Hope, Reverend Thomas Westfall, his wife Pam. The clerk of the session, Marshall Dean. Buquay Verena, the Reverend Eugene Pierce, and his wife Thelma. And clerk of the session, Charles Strickland III. We're glad to have you. You're well known in this area, I can assure you that. All right, from Ernest Mine, Dr. Carl Rudd, and we have several representatives of the station, Mr. Michael Whitaker, and Mrs. Janice Whitaker. And from St. Barnabas, the Reverend Robert Cleveland, his wife, Mary Ann, that clerk of the station, Mary J. Brown. From White Memorial, Dr. H. Edwin Pickett, and John McMillan, clerk of the session, and his wife, Angie, and from Milner, J.D. Allen, J.D. here, okay, Mrs. Allen, who's the clerk of the station tonight. We have some other members that I want to recognize at this time particularly. Mrs. Alice Terry, White Memorial, Mr. F.L. Terry, White Memorial, Mr. and Mrs. Henry Hawksaw, Mr. and Mrs. Frank Meese, and back over at this table, we have Mrs. Liv Allen Appleby. Would you stand, Ms. Appleby, please? I'd like to recognize her with this message. She's the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. John Allen, the oldest couple to move out to form White Memorial. Grew up in this church, baptized by Dr. White. Married to the Reverend James Appleby, who's deceased. Albert Edwards was his student assistant in Anderson, South Carolina. Dr. Appleby married Margaret and Albert Edwards and baptized all of their children. Have I missed anybody? Let's roll. Excuse me, I'm sorry. John Maya and Mrs. Maya. You're the clerk of the session. I'm sorry, I apologize. Thank you. Let's give them all a hand.
It was the time of the Great Depression. 1938 was forlorn. Happily, this was when many of our 50-year members were born. Introducing all of our members would be a terrific chore. Greg Fishel is equal to that job and more.
Currently, it's cloudy and 45. I think. I'm going to sneak this in real quick, and I promise I won't waste much time on it. We just had these T-shirts delivered to us yesterday, 250 of them, with the logo on the front of it. Not the most exciting shirt in the world, but it tells the tale. And we have 7 sizes of those, all the way from kids on up to extra large adult, with most of them extra large adult, because I'm told the kids don't like to wear anything tight. So Alice Watkins, who is sitting over here, she and I are going to begin selling those shirts tomorrow at the church. We don't know where or when, but we will start at some point in time. They'll be $7.50 a piece. Okay, all right. If you want to be a charter purchaser, then you can do that. I hope you all remember when you joined, because what I'm going to do here is recognize every potential year of membership beginning from now all the way back to 1920. What I'd like to do is break it up into groups of 10 years until we get back to 1940, and then we'll individualize it a little bit more. So if you joined anywhere between 1981 and tonight, please stand. Those are the people that are now fully vested in the First Presbyterian Profit Sharing Plan. If you joined between 1971 and 1980, please stand. And during the great decade of the 60s when the Mets won the World Series, if you joined during that period, please stand. 1951 to 1960. And last but not least, during the 1940s. If you joined during that period, please stand. That obviously shows we've got a lot of growth in recent years, but we've got an awful lot of people who have been awfully dedicated for a long period of time. What I'd like to do now is start in 1940, and this is listed in your program if you want to follow along. And I'll call year by year, and as I call your year, stand up and remain standing so that by the time we get all the way back to 1920, we can recognize that entire group of 50 years or more. 1940. No one here? Okay, there we go. We actually have 7 people everywhere. 1, 2, all right. 1939. All right. Back to 1938. $1937. Okay. 1936. Right here. And 1935. Okay. Moving right along, 1934. All righty. 1931. Just a couple of years. Okay, there wasn't a 30 years. 1929. William Scott Smith here tonight? Okay. 1928. Okay. 1927. And why do we lump 26 in with that? Okay. 1925. All right. 1924. Okay, I may not have any attending here tonight. 1923. Okay, how about 1922? Right there, okay. All right. 1922 is up. And 1921. And the most dedicated and loyal people of this congregation, 1920, I'll name them by name, Mrs. Henry Parker, Mrs. David C. Worth, and Mrs. Martha Wing. You can be seated, and we hope you're all here for 200. Thank you very much.
Those summers came to us on a Sunday filled with stress. Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor and left it in a mess. The church folk helped those who fought to save our nation, showing people of the city a super congregation, providing food and lodging for those with weekend leave, giving love and comfort to those whose hearts did grieve. Men were gone. Workers were scarce. Women filled the gap. Industry found a whole new source of talent it could tap. 200 members left our church to start one of their own. White Memorial was its name, and my, how it has grown. Introduce a speaker, there are many different ways. Olive Worth remembers ours when he was in his salad days.
December 1941. Those Summers came with his family to the first church in Raleigh, North Carolina. It was a great day for us. We brought Dean and we brought two precious children, Dick and James. Now, Dick was more interested in football than anything else. And I guess he and all the children of Hayes Garden played on every vacant lot in Hayes Garden. But it wasn't long before he went to Broughton High. And at Broughton High, he became the football star. He was All-American this and All-American that and all whole congregation gave thanks for its many, many blessings. This was a football fellow. But he was more than that. He was a lover. I well remember when he got that driver's license. He couldn't wait to get hold of that car, just to get hold of that steering wheel and that car without anybody else in it. And you know, he went right over to Sarah Malta, got Sarah Malta, and they drove around and around, and then they came out to the works because the Summers were having dinner with the works that night. Not only that, he helped his family. He spent time doing chores that needed to be done. Gene decided he would have every woman in church in command sometime during the year. So, circles was assigned to go to command each month. Some had to go at night because there were night churches. There was no air conditioning, July and August, it was hot as 80. Dick came to the rescue, and with Dick he bought big blocks of ice, big tubs, put electric fans behind it, and cooled the room for the dear old ladies of First Presbyterian. Not only that, but he was good with children. Some of us would get together for picnics. And we did a picnic on the 4th of July out at Fallon Hall. It was Dick who waded in the creek with the children and showed them little crawfish and all that kind of stuff. But it also was Dick who showed them firefighting. And it was their Boy Scout training and their Boy Scout now told them all kinds of problems that could occur if they didn't use the very best safety rules. Then Dick shut off the firefight. He graduated from Duke. He was a scholar as well as a football player. And he went to the seminary. He did a good job there, too. Got his master's degree and got his doctorate degree. And then he did some research. He did some in South Carolina, and some in North Carolina, and some in Virginia. He did his share in the work with the Presbytery and with the Seminary. He's done a great job. We're proud of him. We're very proud of him. We're so glad, Dick, that you went into full-time Christian service. We were your fans back when you were in the 40s and 50s when you were playing football. We're your fans today, and we're just a little envious of your River Road Presbyterian Church in Bruce. Because we'd love to have you back. Your fans today, we're glad to have you with us. Welcome home.
Mr. Moderator, Dr. Stock, distinguished guests and friends, after hearing such an introduction as that, I regret that I am not appearing before a court, because if I were at this moment, I would say, Your Honor, I rest my case. Anything that I say from this point on can only decrease your estimate of me. We are honored to be here. I do want to make one correction. You will receive an excellent history of the First Presbyterian Church, but I want to tell you of a resurrection. Not only are Sarah Martha and I here, but my mother is here, and in that directory or in that history, she is deceased. But I want you to know she's not. She's resurrected. She's right over here. Mom, stand up. Honored was I when the invitation
to be the guest speaker for this auspicious occasion. Raleigh, the one community in my life which I consider to be home. First Presbyterian Church, a congregation that nurtured me during those years when a boy is not particularly interested in being nurtured. Yes, what honor I felt when the invitation was issued to me by Dr. Stock. And then I began to think, and this thought struck me, Dick, what those folks really want is to observe a miracle. They want to see the evidence before their eyes that God could work wonders with such a rambunctious 10-year-old plus and do something worthwhile with him. Well, I hadn't been in Raleigh 10 days in school before I was sent to the principal to see Myrtle Underwood, eyeball to eyeball, and that will try a young boy's soul. Why, Dick, those folks just want to see the evidence of what God can do. But whatever, I am absolutely excited, honored, and thrilled to be here tonight. North Carolina, let me tell you, I'm in a foreign country in Virginia. I am reminded of John Allen McLean's prayer that begins, I thank thee, Lord, that I am a North Carolinian and not from Virginia or South Carolina, those two mountains of conceit bordering the vale of humiliation, full of pompous pride and unaware that their progressive neighbors long ago outdistanced them. North Carolina, Raleigh, First Presbyterian Church, my roots are here. Yes, how strange it is, at least for me, to be with you tonight. Ironic, some would say. Just 3 nights ago, war broke out in the Middle East, and I am here with you tonight, 3 days later. In December 1941, the Summers family arrived in Raleigh on a Thursday. 3 days later, December the 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor was the Summers' first Sunday in Raleigh. Tonight is vivid for me, and I can assure you that at 10 years of age, my first Sunday in Raleigh remains still vivid. In fact, I can remember my sister Jane saying to Mom and Dad, let's move back to Georgia. They don't have war there. Yes, my roots are here. Bob Terry, Frank Daniels, Charles Red Barham, Harold Rhodes, Ann Hartzog, Margaret Birch, Jane Lilly, Sarah Woodall, Mary Lou Driver, Sarah Martha Newton. Why, if you folk had not called my father to be a minister, I would not have met my wife, Sarah Martha. It was the summer of 1942, and my dad said on the day before we were going on vacation, would you like to go see a young girl who's had a bicycle accident like the one you had some few years ago? And I said yes. Stopped at 5 Points and got some mints and went to see Sarah Martha, flat on her back in that back room on Beach Ridge Road with a cracked skull, a face messed up, and I felt sorry for her ever since. And we came back from vacation and had a torrid 6th grade romance. And I can assure you that there are 3 children, Sally, Rick, and Jeff, who are in this world only because you issued M.O. Summers a call. And they are glad you did. My father baptized Sarah Martha. Sarah Martha and I would sit together and worship there in the First Presbyterian Church. Some of it rubbing off, I guess. But when we would sing hymns, you remember out of the old blue hymnal? We would point to such words as love, desire, and oh, for a closer walk. I am thine, and kiss, and take me, and even some words we didn't understand at the time. looking at each other with that otherworldly look. Yes, my roots are here in Raleigh. Josephus Daniels, who lived at Wakestone across the street from the manse, always treated me kindly. His grandson Frank, as my close friend, was a help, I'm sure, and through Josephus met and talked with Eleanor Roosevelt, and such an event for a young boy was one in which I had trouble sleeping that night. My roots are deep in the athletic field known as Devereaux Meadow, which now serves as a parking lot for the garbage trucks of Raleigh. And in Riddick Stadium, which also serves as a parking lot. I guess there's a message there somewhere. But it was through the support, as Ms. Worth has said, of folks like you that I was able to attain an education, particularly at Duke. One disappointment in the area of athletics that most people perhaps are not aware. I was chosen as one of the 33 from North Carolina to play in the North Carolina Shrine Bowl. Went with great excitement for that week. And was anticipating the family being there to see me play on that Saturday. Only to discover that Mother drove Sarah Martha down. I said, "Where's Dad?" "He's got a funeral." And he was unable. He made the choice to stay here. I do not know the family. He did confess that he listened to the radio right before he went into the pulpit, and he listened to the radio on the way to the pulpit, on the way to the gravesite. Yes, my roots are here. And our roots are here. Raleigh, First Presbyterian Church, or else we would not be gathered here this night in this place. Our roots go back to January the 21st, 1816, 175 years ago, the date of the organization of this church. 1816, the fourth president of the United States, James Madison, was in office. 1816, Warren Miller, remember his name? I don't, was governor of North Carolina, a state then of 62 counties. 1816 was, yes, the capital, but it's most interesting how it became so. The legislature was meeting in many different places, New Bern, Tarboro, Fayetteville, Hillsborough, to name a few. But the legislators were unable to settle on one community as the capital. They passed the buck, what else is new, and called a convention to make the decision. The convention in 1787, I believe it was in Hillsborough, adopted an ordinance that the capital be located within 10 miles of Isaac Hunter's Tavern in Wake County as the exact spot for the legislature. Isaac Hunter is reported to have served the patrons of his tavern a particularly popular rum punch. And the convention members felt that locating the state capital in the vicinity would surely please the legislature. And that's how Raleigh was chosen to be the state capital. Does anyone know whatever happened to Isaac Hunter's Tavern? 1816. Raleigh was a teeming city of 1,000 in population, while Fayetteville was twice as large. Records of this time indicate that the Methodists were planting churches in all directions. The Presbyterian faith was not aggressive and expanding. And it must have been during this time that two Presbyterian preachers went to the western portion of North Carolina, finding out what they could do to spread the Presbyterian church up there. Of course, they didn't have anything but Baptists and Methodists up there, the account states. And so these two Presbyterian clergy went up to this house and they asked this woman, says, "Are there any Presbyterians up here?" Whereupon she said, "I don't know. But Pa killed some kind of varmint the other night and skun it, and its hide is tacked up down there on the barn door. You can go and see if that's what it is." 1816. The year First Church was organized was the year in which the state of Indiana was admitted to the Union. Interesting to me because my father, who became minister here, was born in Indiana. 1816, the year the American Bible Society was founded, the year the stethoscope was invented. 1816, 63 years before two crude telephones, the first in the state, were installed in Raleigh. January the 21st, 1816, the First Presbyterian Church of Raleigh came into existence. And here we are tonight, 175 years later, reflecting on what has kept this people of God alive for 175 years and pondering what is it that will keep this people of God alive during this decade as we move into the 21st century and keep this people alive for another 175 years. These essentials come to mind. Now, the essentials which I will mention are not all-inclusive, nor are they exclusive, but they are essential for a people of God. The first essential, attitude. Attitudes are either positive or negative. We communicate attitude by the words we speak. A teacher was reproving one of our young pupils who had fallen into the habit of swearing. If you feel you must say something, why don't you just say, "Oh, brother," or something like that? And then as an afterthought, she said, "Your father doesn't swear, does he?" "No, ma'am," replied the boy. "Well, suppose he were working in the garden and suddenly stepped backwards and a rake hit him up on the back of the head. What would he see? What would he say?" the teacher asked. "He'd say," answered the youngster, "You're home early, dear." We communicate attitude by the words we speak. And we communicate and convey our attitude in our facial expressions. In fact, we are the only creatures of God who communicate with each other by means of facial expressions. Now, we've all eaten well, and you've been sitting there for a few minutes, so I want you to join me in this exercise. Put eyebrows up. Eyebrows up, everybody. Put them up. Don't let them fly off. Just put them up. Now, put them down. You know, that's what you use when your children are home late for curfew. All right? Put them neutral. We must not leave this out, for this neutral point has a great history in the church. Okay, up, down, neutral. Up, down, neutral. Are you with me? All right, your mouth, wide open. Don't wait. Come on, Ann, wide. Now small. No pink showing. Small. And then neutral in between. Okay, eyebrows down. Put your eyebrows down. Mouth, no pink showing. Kind of elongate your nose. Now with that look, turn towards your neighbor. You got to have the look. Turn towards your neighbor. Keep that expression and listen. You have just turned to the person sitting next to you in the pew and you say, "I'm so pleased that you're worshiping with us today." Or it's Ed Stock speaking as the minister. "Tom, I was hoping that you were going to be elected an elder." Or eyebrows down now. No, speaking as a Sunday school teacher to the parents. "You don't know how pleased I am to have Johnny in my Sunday school class this year." All right, take that face off. That negative attitude. Eyebrows up. Mouth up. Positive attitude implying that the faith is exciting. With an attitude that is positive, the faith does become thrilling. Not that we have to stay on a continuous
high, but there should be more highs than lows. Attitude, a positive attitude has kept this body of believers alive for 175 years. Attitude, a positive attitude, will keep it alive as we move into the next century. The second essential, imagination. Michelangelo's famous statue of David was fashioned from a block of marble which had been spoiled in the quarrying and had been cast out as of no value, actually on the garbage dump. The great creative artist used his imagination. First, he built it up in his mind's eye, a vision of what could be done with that spoiled block of marble. Working patiently over a long period of time, he brought into existence the beauty and wonder of the statue of David. Imagination. Someone has said that the human mind should be like a good hotel, open year-round. Imagination. Albert Coates, the founder of the Institute of Government at Chapel Hill, tells the story of a law-enforcing friend who had caught a bootlegger, one who had eluded him for many months. And that morning he came upon him with fruit jars just covering the back of his station wagon. And he asked the bootlegger what he had in them. Water was the answer. Let me taste it, said the officer, and turning a jar up, started drinking and kept on drinking. When he put it down, he wiped his mouth and said, "It tastes like wine to me." "Lord, Lord," the old bootlegger said, "Jesus has done it again." Imagination and active imagination. A young Chapel Hill foursome, meaning little boys and girls, were burying a pet bird that a cat had killed. One little girl was telling her mother about it. "We put it in a box and we dug a hole under the crabapple tree," the youngster said wistfully. "And Tommy prayed and we prayed over the bird, and then we covered it up. And then we sang a song." "What did you sing?" asked the child's mother. "We sang, 'Don't Give a Damn for Duke University.' Because that was the only song we four knowed." Only happened in North Carolina. Imagination. The Scriptures, the Bible, indeed, is our greatest asset, but it can become our greatest handicap if the Bible becomes a textbook in concrete rather than using the Scriptures with imagination. Imagination, active imagination as to the ways in which the church could meet the needs of each new age. It's what has kept First Church alive for 175 years. And I challenge you who are the First Church of today, be active with your imagination as to ways and means and which ministries might be accomplished in this decade and in the next century. Not falling into the rut, this is the way we have always done it, but rather keeping alert, pondering, thinking, what if? What if we did this? What if we did that? Let's keep the imagination active. Attitude plus imagination produces the third essential, motivation. I'm talking about our motivation as the people of faith. An attitude which is positive plus an imagination which is active leads to the essential motivation. There are far too many people who express their faith in the same way in which they watch TV before we had those remote controls of flipping the channels. We don't particularly like the program on TV, but we're too lazy to get up and change the channel.
And we don't particularly like the way in which First Church is moving, but we are not motivated to do something about it. A negative attitude plus an imagination which is nil produces motivation which is zero. Yet on January the 21st, 1816, a pastor, 4 elders, 18 regular members, and 6 occasional members, states the record. I wish there were only 6 occasional members in the congregation which I serve. But according to the record, these persons brought into existence the Presbyterian Church in Raleigh. And for the next 175 years, in the 1860s, the turn of the new century, the 1900s, the 1940s, the 1960s, the 1980s, people have been motivated to follow in the footsteps of the head of the church, evangelizing through missions, nurturing through education, caring through all forms of service ministry. And today, if you and I are not motivated to follow in the footsteps of the one whom we claim to be Lord, then we are a disgrace to the name we bear, Christian. Motivation is the result of a positive attitude coupled with an active imagination. Attitude, imagination, motivation. What we have here is an acrostic, AIM. Let us be challenged to aim our witness in the years to come. Let us make our aim, attitude positive, imagination active, so that we will be motivated. And if we so aim, I am convinced that there will be persons here as we enter the 21st century. And there will be persons here 175 years from now giving thanks to God for a people whose attitude and imagination motivated them to be God's faithful people.
Dr. James Front, our leader in 1955, helped us to remodel, enlarge, and revive. He suggested wood carvings at the end of each pew and windows showing the Testaments, both old and new. Tithing was important and world missions prime. First Church was enhanced greatly during his time. To acknowledge the work of one and all, it's Ed Finley's turn to carry the ball.
Well, Dr. Hall looking at his watch when I got up here, so I'll move through this quickly. But there are, he's like that. There are many people who are responsible for this 175th anniversary celebration, and we very much would be remiss if we failed to mention just some of them. If we stopped to mention all of them, we would be here indeed for a long time tonight. I don't know who it is in the Presbyterian Church that instituted the committee system, whether that was John Calvin or Dr. Peters or who, but we certainly give to that tradition in this church, and we have lots of committees. But let me recognize the people that are on the 175th anniversary committee. And again, if you would please stand up and we'll run through this list. Remain standing and hold your applause. Hopefully you will have some. But hold for long until we get through the list. Greg Fisher, stand up again, please. For those of you who are not in Raleigh, of course, Greg is the WRAL meteorologist. And among the many duties he has on our committees is to make sure that it doesn't snow between now and the end of this celebration. Betty Jordan. Betty's been keeping our minutes and done a fine job. Cal Parks. Often helpful in so many things, working with the state. William McPherson. William, for those of you who don't know, is the historian and who is responsible in the main for this volume of history. And if you haven't acquired your volume of the church history, you have done yourself a real disservice. This is a fine volume, and William has been working on this for a number of years. He's had some help, of course, but by and large, he's responsible for that. I went to the North Carolina Symphony production last night, and I ran into Faye and Matt McGinnis. And guess what Faye McGinnis was doing at the North Carolina Symphony? She had her history book and was reading about the First Presbyterian Church history. So that ought to tell you something about the job that William has done, and we certainly owe him a debt of thanks. Dr. Hal Ramsey. Hal has done a lot. Hal has a special announcement. When I sit down, Hal wants to come up and make an announcement. Holly Worth, bless her heart, she's been our inspiration, and in her time of grief, she has led the ship, and we appreciate that a great deal. Dr. Stock, he is really the person who has led this committee, and he's communicated with our fine guests. Dr. Hall pulled out of his pocket all the letters he received from Dr. Stock telling him when he was supposed to be where, and telling him that the time had been changed and the place had been changed. I told him you might as well just throw that away because it was going to change again. Yeah, he'll get a letter though. The Historical Moments Committee, who has been in charge of this fine entertainment that we've had tonight, you can imagine how much work has been went into that. Is the chairperson is Mary Lou Preston. They have done a fine job on that. The Anniversary Banquets and Receptions Committee, moderator of that is Kitty Lyons. And look about you on your tables at the flowers and the little mementos and the name tags. Hours and hours of planning and hard work have gone into that. And Kitty, as she always does, has taken charge. Believe it or not, Kitty came to me for questions a few times, and she soon learned that that was a waste of her time. She's since gone on to better things. We have an Archives and Memorials Committee that's been hard at work, and Ms. Kay Brown has been in charge of that. Kay, please stand up. Yeah. The Editorials Committee, who has worked with William on the volume of history, has been chaired by Mr. Houston Black. Houston, please stand up. They worked hard to get this production completed and distributed for this celebration. Greg has also been chairman of the Publicity Committee and has done a good job there. Stephanie Fountain is the chairman of the Peace College Committee, and Garrett, we will be talking to you as the year progresses on that committee. Jim Mizell has been the chairman of the Finance Committee, and he's still trying to get the input to put his budget together. We've already outspent, but Jim has been a fine addition and much help. Gilbert and Mary Leonard are serving as the chair people of the Communion Service Committee, the Communion Service tomorrow night. Hunter Hensley is in charge of the special music, and he has worked to get our anniversary hymn, which we heard earlier this evening. Mr. Marion Fuller has been in charge of the Invitations Committee and communicating with so many people, and has also served as an important advisory role to our committee. Charles Frick and Kathy Kesterson have been in charge of this logo and this banner and some of the themes that have been used throughout this celebration. And the Special Gifts Committee, who has hounded some of you all of us to make this possible, the gifts of funds to make this celebration possible, and our benevolent gifts that we want to make possible, has been chaired by George Anderson and Bill Roth. We appreciate their work. And I know I've left somebody out. Of course, all these committees have many other people on them. We do owe a great debt of thanks to all these people. Let's give them a hand.
I have an announcement to make about the flowers that are on the table. I was requested to do so by the people who were in charge of the decorations. And if there is one person at each table who would like to take this flower, this little pot home, you may do so by leaving $1 on the table. And then someone will come along later on and pick these dollars up, and they'll be used to help defray some of our costs. It'll cost you $1 as long as you're the only person at the table who wants it. If there's more than one, you have your own private auction. And the plant goes to the highest bidder. Thank you.
For 28 years, the flock was led by a most dynamic Scot. He worked to make a downtown church a more attractive spot. With services Wednesday noon and TV Sunday morn, he reached the lives of many whose days had been forlorn. Friendship Fund he organized to help those most in need by following the Bible text, the hungry ones to feed. Planning a retirement home, the best one anywhere, he's still working hard for funds to build Glen Eyre. The dates here represented do not tell all the story of First Presbyterian and its long road to glory. The years have been kind to this grand old church. Many memorable things turned up in our search. Serving this city 175 years, this church of ours deserves our cheers. We've told you the history of this great flock. Now we face the future with our leader, Edwin Stott. Time to stand and join in singing. Lead on, O King Eternal. We should set the rafters ringing. After this celebration of our true faith and conviction, Ed Stock will close with our prayer of benediction.
Gracious God, we are thankful for this occasion which has brought us together this evening. A time to celebrate and a time to remember the ties which bond us together in Christian community, the friendships we share at First Presbyterian, the ties with congregations which have been formed out of a sense of mission and of aim, congregations represented here as daughter congregations. The ties with institutions of higher education, Peace College and Union Theological Seminary in Virginia. The ties of mission. Mission with our presbytery and with the Senate and with the General Assembly. The ties of service with Glen Eyre. We have much to celebrate with 175 years, precious God. We've been led by your Spirit. Enable us to be channels today and tomorrow and the years to come. Bless us as we leave this evening. Remember especially those who will fall from us this day, this evening, and the Middle East. We ask your blessing especially on them. Equip us for service. 175 years from this evening, and on Monday, our official day of celebration. Those looking back will be thankful for our faithful witness to you, the Lord of the church. In whose name we pray in Jesus Christ. Amen.